Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by the Toyota Grand Highlander. Life's journey brings constant change filled with exciting surprises and grand challenges. And with its spaciousness, power, and style, the Toyota Grand Highlander is more than a vehicle. It's your partner in embracing all life throws at you. From the spacious adult-sized third row to seating for up to 8 passengers, the Toyota Grand Highlander is up for every grand challenge. Learn more at toyota.com/Grand Highlander. Toyota, let's go places.
It's the Smucker's Uncrustables podcast with your host, Uncrustables. Okay, today's guest is rough around the edges. Please welcome Crust.
Thanks for having me.
Today's topic, he's round with soft pillowy bread.
Hey.
Filled with delicious PB&J.
Are you talking about yourself?
And you can take him anywhere.
Why'd you invite
And we are out of time.
Are you really cutting me off?
Uncrustables are the best part of the sandwich. Sorry, Crust.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to High School Hoops with your hosts, Steve Collins and Jake Stager.
All right, welcome to High School Hoops. Today we're going to talk about closeouts, but before we do that, right, we're going to talk about closeouts.
Yep,
today,
you're
right?
good. Yeah, keep going. You're good.
Before we do that, big shout out to our sponsors. First of all, Dr. Dish, the number one shoe machine on the market. My team needs it. My team needs like 6 of them, 1 for each basket. That's how many we need. The way we're shooting the ball right now. But anyway, hopefully that changes. Mention us, and they'll give you $450 off. So that's great deal. Also go over and check out teachhoops.com for coaches who want to get better. One-stop shop for basketball coaches. I don't know if we have any closeout drills in there, but I do close. I have to put some in there. I have a bunch. But anyway, one-stop shop, everything you need to become a better basketball coach. We expect the players to work on their craft. You should work on your craft. I'm just telling you. And trust me, I've experienced it all. Anybody that spends 36 hours on a bus to Florida and back unexpectedly knows what it's all about. So anyway.
Oh, I thought you flew. You guys took a bus?
Oh, you didn't hear about that? Oh, I'll have to tell you the whole story off the air. But the bus, we were flying Southwest, it got canceled. So we found a bus to drive us down. We played, and then we drove a bus back. I'll tell you though, yeah. I'm still recovering from that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
That might explain a little bit about my team, maybe.
There you go.
All right. So what's today's topic, Coach?
How to teach and coach effective closeouts.
What's your feeling on this?
I think number one is really getting kids to really be moving on the flight of basketball. I think that's number one. Understanding that defense there's never a time in defense where you're ever really truly standing still. I think that is huge. The amount of time of reaction, especially as you get to the highest level of high school varsity, that is a game changer. If you cannot be moving on the flight of the ball, that changes everything. And it's the reaction point of it, the head on a swivel and the ability to move and jump on the flight of the ball all the time. I really do that.
Do you have a theory about how to close out? Because I know there's lots of different theories out there about what and how to.
Are you talking with which hand? Well, I mean, the ultimate theory would be to close out with is it the left hand? Right? Because you want to force players to go left if you're closing out that direction. Am I right? Yeah.
I mean, I think there's a lot of people that, a lot of people don't believe in closing out. They believe in kind of getting into space, into, obviously if they're a right-handed shooter, you're closing out with the left hand, but even taking space away from them. and just not letting them.
I think an active hand disrupts the shooter. I do. I think but again, you don't get to that point if you're not moving on the flight of the basketball. That hand never gets to the point where it feels like you're disrupting the player.
Right. I think a bigger issue is sometimes getting them off the line.
Okay. What do you mean by that?
I just don't want. I don't necessarily want to close out. I want to close to a point where you can't even shoot a three. I don't want you shooting a three. I want you to shoot a two. So I want to get you off that line. I'm going to come at you and get you off the line.
Oh, so coming at instead of closing out so high is basically
closing them off the line, getting them off
shrinking shrinking the space is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So getting into the space where that's really all they can do.
But then the key thing is then if you do that, then it really becomes this really thing of team defense, right? So if you're gonna overcommit, and then I'm not gonna say you're overcommitting, but you're coming and you're gonna shrink the space as hard as you can. That means everybody else needs to be moving on the fly of the ball to help support that. Because I totally get it. Because the mid range is a dying thing. So that makes complete sense. If you could get your guys, and that's interesting that you think about
or gals.
Yep. That's funny that you say that. Not funny, but that makes a lot of sense because
that's what I'm thinking with my. So we talked before we came on the air with my guys in closeouts. It's like, well, maybe we're not closing out. Maybe we're closing off or closing on the line, closing on. So we're closing on that line and we're getting them off the line. Close on that line. So they don't have a choice. You're in their space. They can't shoot it. They got to go or they got to pass.
Are you saying almost like a no three mentality, right?
Yes. No threes. I don't care. They just don't shoot threes.
Stop by Sherwin-Williams and get 30% off select paints and stains May 2nd through the 12th. It's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Refresh your home inside and out with colors that make every space feel brand new. From cozy interiors to stunning exteriors, we've got the perfect shade for your next project. Shop the sale online or visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
I would say that mentality now totally relates to where basketball is going and has gone. So I don't think that's crazy to think that way.
Right.
I try to teach like younger ages, and I'm not here to talk about younger age. I teach my fourth graders to just close out with two hands because then they have better balance at younger ages.
Right.
And then, to make it easier than try to do right or left, because then I think they overcommit to one side. But if they come out with a high hand, they can just crash this way. Right. I don't think that's acceptable at the high school level. They got to be either closing out at one hand or closing out, to shrink that space.
Well, I think one of the things too is my next three opponents, which we talked about before too, would run dribble drive. So they don't want to shoot as many threes. They will, but that's not as big a deal for them. They want to get to the rack. So all of a sudden now I got to shrink the court and, maybe close out on those teams, but other teams I need to close off or on the line. So I think there's you know what I'm saying?
So are you saying that like sometimes closing out might be a little bit different based on who you're playing?
I think so.
But don't you think that is something I don't really have never thought about and like how important your closeout is can reflect on what type of team you're playing.
Right.
Maybe you don't want to close out as crazy because you don't want them to.
I want to close out, but I don't want to close out to the point where they go around me. But maybe there's teams like the one we played last night that you saw that we wanted to close off the line. So they did put it on the floor and we wanted them shooting twos. So I think there's a mentality there, maybe with our schedule.
My theory, though, is I think closeouts are something at the high school level that should be taught 2v2 in isolation. I think they're very vital to the game. We could talk about whether the closeout really hard to get them off the line, to close out just so we have control. Either way, you still have to be able to move on the flight of the ball, be in an athletic position. And I think it's something that no matter where, if you're playing zone or zone or man-to-man, effective closeouts is something that you should be trying to do in practice every day or every other day. I really think it's that important because of if you don't close out properly, it really breaks down your defense. It really does.
Right. I agree.
How you teach it and how you want to teach it. I don't mean to interrupt you.
I think there's more than one way to teach it, is what I'm saying.
Right.
Too.
But it's what you put into it, right? So you could say, I want you to close out, but I was just having a conversation with another coach about, the team that he's helping out doesn't run really good man-to-man defense. Well, they don't practice it in practice. Well, you can't just keep telling your kids that they're going to run really good man-to-man defense if you don't have principles and you don't do it in practice. So I think you got to come up with some of your principles too on how you want to close out.
Right. And I thought you were talking about my team there. We practice.
No, it's seriously another coach. I'm not going to throw that program under the bus.
He was being nice.
I'm being honest, dude. Being super honest. I'll even tell you the truth after the podcast, because I'm not throwing this other coach under the bus.
I believe you. All right. Anything else for that, Coach?
No, all is good.
All right. Till next week.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/kidsandfamily. Just go to Indeed.com/kidsandfamily right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.